the Balrogs of Morgoth, demons of shadow and flame, creatures of immense power and among the most deadly beings to ever walk Middle-earth. Hello friends, it's Carl here, and in today's video we'll be delving into the lore of the Balrogs of Middle-earth. So the name Balrog is Sindarin, that means demon of power, and they were also known as Valaraukar in Quenya. These monstrosities were once Maiar spirits, angelic beings that served Valar. When Morgoth rebelled against Eru Ilúvatar and his fellow Valar, some Maiar spirits followed him, and among these were the Balrogs. They were said to have a humanoid shape, and yet were greater in size than a man, with a streaming mane of fire that blazed behind them. A mixture of shadow and flame enveloped them, and they emanated an aura of power and terror. It's debatable whether they had wings or not, though I'll be discussing this towards the end of my video. Regarding their weapons, their primary weapon seemed to be a whip of flame, though they were also known to use axes and swords as well. So after Morgoth's rebellion, he gathered his Balrogs in his fortress of Utumno, and in the year 1099 of the Years of the Trees, the Valar besieged it and laid waste to it. Morgoth was then dragged in chains to Valinor and imprisoned there for some time, while his Balrogs fled and hid in the pits of Angband, another fortress and armory of Morgoth. They lay dormant there, waiting for their master's return. In the year 1495 of the Years of the Trees, Morgoth allied with Ungoliant, an evil creature that took the form of a massive spider, and together they poisoned the two trees of Valinor, slew the High Elven King of the Noldor, and stole the three Silmarils, the most beautiful gems that were ever created. They then fled across an icy wasteland called the Helcaraxe towards Middle-earth. But before Morgoth reached Angband, Ungoliant turned on him, demanding the Silmarils from him as she wanted to consume their light. Morgoth refused to give them up, and in retaliation Ungoliant attacked him and encased him in webs of darkness. In his anguish, Morgoth let out an ear-piercing cry, and we're told that the mountains shook, and the earth trembled, and rocks were riven asunder. Deep in forgotten places, that cry was heard. Far beneath the ruined halls of Angband, in vaults to which the Valar, in the haste of their assault, had not descended, Balrogs lurked still, awaiting ever the return of their lord. And now swiftly they arose, and passing over Hithlum, they came to Lamoth as a tempest of fire. The Balrogs then approached Ungoliant, and using their whips of fire they tore asunder her webs, freeing their master. Seeing that she was now outmatched, Ungoliant fled to the mountains known as Ered Gorgoroth. Now these Silmarils were created by the elf Feanor, and after they were stolen, he led a force of the Noldor to Middle-earth, where they waged war against Morgoth. Though they were outnumbered, the elves defeated their opposition with ease, and this filled Feanor with confidence as he rushed forward towards Angband ahead of his men. This overconfidence would be his downfall, as during the battle under the stars, he was surrounded by Balrogs. Despite his dire situation, Feanor fought on, taking many wounds and being wrapped in fire, though at the last he was smitten to the ground by Gottmog, the lord of the Balrogs. Before Gottmog could deliver the killing blow, Feanor's sons arrived with the rest of the Noldor host, and they fought off the Balrogs, though despite their timely rescue, Feanor dies from the wounds he had sustained. The Balrog, Gottmog, that was mentioned in this passage was said to be the High Captain of Angband and the Lord of the Balrogs. In one of Tolkien's early writings, called The Lay of the Children of Húrin, another Balrog called Lungortin is said to be Lord of Balrogs. This is a common point of confusion for readers, as they are at times uncertain whether Lungortin and Gottmog referred to the same Balrog. However, Christopher Tolkien believes that it simply meant he was a Balrog Lord, and so still beneath Gottmog in the hierarchy. Following Feanor's death, Morgoth sent an emissary to Feanor's eldest son, Maedhros, acknowledging his defeat and offering terms of surrender. Maedhros then decided to treat with him, though both parties planned to trick one another, which resulted in a battle between them. Morgoth had the greater force, which included Balrogs, and all of Maedhros' company were slain, though he was taken alive back to Angband as a prisoner. In the year 455 of the First Age, Morgoth unleashed his forces to break the siege of Angband. This was known as the Battle of Sudden Flame, which is quite fitting, considering the fiery destruction that the Balrogs and Glaurung, the first dragon, inflicted upon the Noldor and their allies. The next battle the Balrogs took part in was the Battle of Unnumbered Tears in the year 472 of the First Age. During this battle, the High King of the Noldor called Fingon led a charge and ambushed the Orc host, which sundered their defenses. In desperation, Morgoth emptied Angband and unleashed all his forces, including his dragons and Balrogs, upon his enemies. Gottmog, the Lord of the Balrogs, drove a wedge between the elven hosts, and Morgoth's forces surrounded King Fingon. Gottmog and Fingon then fought one another, until Fingon was caught unawares, as another Balrog approached him from behind and ensnared him in a whip of fire. Gottmog then slew him with his black axe, and he then captured Hurin, a lord of the Edain, and took him to Angband, hoping to interrogate him for information regarding the hidden elven realm of Gondolin. Though Hurin refused to disclose Gondolin's location, Morgoth succeeded in discovering it through other means. In the year 510 of the First Age, the hidden city of Gondolin was besieged by Morgoth's forces. Gottmog was the captain of this host, and it is said that during the battle, the Balrogs rode upon the backs of dragons. After the city was breached, Morgoth's forces pushed towards the square, where one elf stood defiantly near the Fountain of the King. He was the lord of the House of the Fountain, Ectelion, and it was here that he faced and dueled Gottmog. Though he fought valiantly, Gottmog succeeded in disarming him, and as he got ready to deliver the final blow, Ectelion charged at him and drove his helmet spike into the Balrog. After, they both fell into the fountain, where the Balrog perished and where Ectelion drowned. As Gondolin burned, some refugees attempted to flee, and Glorfindel was among them. As they fled, a Balrog approached them, and Glorfindel rushed forward to face it. During their fight, Glorfindel seemed to get the upper hand, as he drove his sword into the Balrog and pushed it towards a cliff. However, as it fell, it grabbed hold of his hair, and the two of them fell and perished in the abyss below. During the War of Wrath, Morgoth was finally defeated, and we're told that all of his Balrogs were slain, apart from a few that fled and hid themselves in deep caverns near the roots of the earth. One of these Balrogs was Durin's Bane, who in the year 1980 of the Third Age was awoken by the dwarfs of Khazad-dûm as they dug for mithril. This Balrog slew their king, Durin VI, thus earning itself the name Durin's Bane. Though the dwarfs managed to persevere for another year, they eventually accepted that they must abandon Khazad-dûm after the Balrog slew their new king, Nain I. When the Fellowship passed through Moria, they encountered Durin's Bane, and Gandalf faces it at the bridge of Khazad-dûm. After breaking the bridge, the Balrog falls into the abyss below, though it succeeds in pulling Gandalf down with it. Together, they fell into a pool of water, which quenched the Balrog's flames, and they fought at the roots of the earth, until the Balrog fled down dark passages and up the endless stair. Gandalf chased him, till they reached the peak of the mountaintop Zirak Zigil, where the Balrog was finally defeated, and he was cast down onto the mountainside below. Now regarding their number, Tolkien wrote that 3 or at most 7 ever existed. So assuming that the maximum possible number existed, we know that 3 Balrogs were slain, and at least one more perished in the War of Wrath. Since Tolkien says that, save some few that fled and hid themselves, it seems to imply that more than one Balrog survived other than Durin's Bane, hidden deep within the earth. I'd also like to point out that the Balrogs weren't bestial, on the contrary they were quite intelligent. When Gandalf tries to hold off the Balrog in the chamber of Mazarbul, he puts a spell of sealing on the door. We're then told that the Balrog perceived his spell and cast a counterspell that nearly overwhelmed Gandalf. This intelligence is further seen by how they were the captains and leaders of Morgoth's armies. What I also find incredibly interesting is that they also seem to be Morgoth's torturers. In the Book of Lost Tales, Tolkien says, "and one worthy of the tortures of the Balrogs." And in the Lay of the Children of Hurin, we're told, "Long years he laboured under lashes and flails of the baleful Balrogs, abiding his time." And now we come to probably the most debated topic when it comes to Balrogs. Did they have wings? So there are a couple of quotes in Tolkien's works that link Balrogs to flight, such as saying that they passed with winged speed, or "a thing of terror that flying from Tangorodrim." However, this is only the case if they are taken literally. In Moria, it said that suddenly it drew itself up to a great height, and its wings spread from wall to wall. However, a few lines before we're told that, and the shadows about it reached out like two vast wings. So once again, this can't be used to confirm that they had wings. Now, considering that two Balrogs met their demise after being thrown into an abyss, one might reason that they couldn't have wings, otherwise they would have simply flown back up. Also, if they had wings, why were they said to be riding dragons during the fall of Gondolin? So I don't feel that the first argument is enough to say they were wingless. It could be they were too wounded or busy fighting to fly back up. While for the second argument, Balrogs riding dragons would be quite a terrifying sight to behold. Perhaps they could even cover more ground faster this way. Or it could allow the Balrogs to lash out at enemies similar to cavalry. It's quite a never-ending debate, though since we know that Maiar spirits could change their physical form, I don't see why they couldn't change their form to have wings. Also, when Ungoliant attacked Morgoth, I can't see the Balrogs slowly climbing up the pits of Angband and then proceeding to walk to their master's aid. It would seem awfully slow compared to flying, though this is simply my own speculation. Anyway friends, this wraps up the video and I hope you enjoyed it. If you can, leave a like, cause it helps this channel immensely, and subscribe to join our fellowship today. I hope to see you all in my next video, where together we will once again explore the magical world and lore of Middle-earth.